Big Ed here. Today I'm bringing you the Kimber Custom II 1911 chambered in 10mm. So I got an email about 7 or 8 months ago from Kentucky Gun Company, and they have these wonderful flyers they sell out, and even better sales sometimes that you just got to snap up when you see them before they're all gone. And one of those sales was this 1911, and I've been looking for a 10mm, and I've talked a lot about it in my previous videos. And so this one they had listed for $570. I took a quick look on the internet, saw that they were averaging about $750 to $775 all over the internet. This one was $570, brand new. I was like, no brainer. So I bought it right there and then. I had it shipped up to Dark Storm Industries up on Long Island that are very easy to deal with, and I could just go on their website and fill out their form, pay their $25 transfer fee, and it's done. And then they email you when it comes in, and you put in, the serial number and the tracking and all that, and it's brainless. So when I picked up the gun, they told me, they're like, good luck with it. They're like, it's probably going to be hit or miss. It's either going to run great or it's not. So this is my second experience with the Kimber. My friend Dave loaned me his. I can't remember which model it is, but it's buried years ago in my videos. It's a 4 1/4 inch barreled size and 45 ACP. I had a wonderful experience with that pistol. That is a wonderful 1911. Carries very nicely, 100% reliable, ran everything I put through it, and very smooth, just a very nice gun, and very smooth shooting. So I was hoping for the same with this. So when I took it out of the box, it just came with one magazine. It has a fiber optic front sight. It's got a nice little adjustable rear sight. It's pretty simple. I'll just give you a sight picture right there. There you go. You see that fiber optic right there. And then it's got a skeletonized hammer, and I'm a fan of this too. The single side safety right there. So I'm not a big fan of the ambidextrous safety. Only 10% of the population are lefties, buy a left-handed gun. And then it's got the upswept beaver tail, and that's basically about it. Also, this pistol does have a full-length guide rod. I'm not going to go into the differences between that and a GI, standard GI version, but I do have a video on that, a couple of videos ago. Yeah, and that's about it. So, it's close to a stock 1911, a GI model. It's just got a few little upgrades on it, but still good bang for the buck. So when I first went to go shoot it, I bought a few different kinds of 10mm, and I went down to my pit shooting the thing, and it didn't run at all. It was basically a single shot pistol, and I would shoot it, and it would stovepipe, then I would clear it, and then it would have a failure to feed. That was its most common thing, the failure to feed, that it really liked to do. So I would go ahead, shoot it, would cycle back and get the next round like halfway into the chamber, and that was it. So then I'd have to slam it or back it out, eject a live cartridge, and then run another one in there, and it was just it was horrible to begin with. So the first thing I did was sold the Kimber magazine that it came with, and I upgraded to Wilson Combat 10mm magazines. I'm a big fan of Wilson Combat. I bought a AR-15 barrel for them. I bought a lot of 45 1911 magazines from them, and they are all wonderful. Wilson Combat makes the greatest stuff. All their little parts and pieces I bought from them are wonderful. So I bought these. It helped out the situation. And then I probably got up to, I'm going to say about 150, 200 rounds of 10mm through this gun. And it was a little bit better, but it was still, I was lucky to get halfway through a mag, 4 or 5 rounds before Bob will have a failure to feed. So at this point, I made a 10mm reloading video. And then I made and I talked about some of my problems in another video, the 45 versus 10mm 1911s. And one of my subscribers had a great suggestion. He's like, Ed, since you sold your Smith & Wesson M&P 40 and you have all this 40 ammunition and no gun to shoot it out of, why don't you use that for the break-in for this? Because 1911s, because they're all steel, they can have a very long break-in time. Sometimes 500 rounds, maybe more. So I was like, that's a great idea, because 40's a lot cheaper than 10mm. And if you're just looking to break it in, fine. So I brought a couple hundred rounds of 40 down to the pit. I shot them, shot great. And I was a little disappointed with that, but I was getting through at least 8 out of 9 rounds, of a magazine. I was getting through almost a full magazine with the 40. So obviously this pistol had, there was some goodness in this thing. But I was concerned with, this is chambered in 10mm, not 40 caliber. and there's a big difference of muzzle energy. Average 40 is about 400 pounds from the muzzle, and 10 millimeters anywhere from 550 to 575, from stock 10 millimeter ammunition. So originally when I bought this pistol, I bought it as an outdoors gun. I'm a big fan of 44 mag and 357 mag, and I bought this as a camping, a hiking firearm, just another thing that I could carry instead of a big, large, hunking revolver. Something different. So, and I've always been interested in 10 millimeter, and I can hand load for it. So my goal for this gun was not to shoot 40 caliber through it. It was not to shoot kind of a mediocre 10 millimeter. It was to shoot hot 10 millimeter. Four-legged in the woods, it's a great choice. And with the 5-inch barrel, it's pretty good and easy to carry this. Probably a little easier than carrying a 44, an end-frame 44 Magnum or a Ruger Super Red Hawk. Still not quite right, but better. So I went back online. I posted my results of the 40 caliber on a couple forums and talked to some guys, and they recommended I looked up, and this gun came with a stock spring in here of 18 pounds. And I know that a GI model for a 45 ACP 1911 comes in with a 20-pound spring, and I've run mine with a 20-pound spring, my Springfield, and it works great with a 20-pound spring. So why is a more powerful cartridge have a weaker spring? And I think that they messed up at Kimber, and this gun was not assembled correctly by Kimber. And it's sad because I think it's a pretty good gun, but the main problem is that recoil spring. So I went ahead, and to my subscribers' help, I bought it's a Wolf Precision. It's a 23-pound spring. I put that in here, did some more shooting, shot a little bit more 40. It wouldn't cycle 40, but then it started cycling 10 millimeter, and it cycled it a lot better. The gun is still not 100%. The last time I shot it was in Vermont, and you're going to see that footage in this video. It's a lot better, and the gun probably, ammo it likes, it'll get through a full magazine. Ammo it's not crazy about, it'll get through 6, 7, 8 rounds before it, stumbles on the 9th. But it's definitely getting better, and it's picky with what ammo it likes. It definitely likes the nickel-plated stuff, of course, Hornady. Precision 1 shoots okay. This is hot. This is a hunting load. Actually, that's a plus P 180 grain. But then I also have my hand loads. These are on the heavier side, but I've got plenty of 10 millimeter. I have a couple other odd boxes laying around. So the next thing that happened, once I put the heavier spring in there and it started cycling 10 millimeter a lot better, the front fiber optic sight came out. So I was a little annoyed with that. I went to shoot it, and I emptied out a mag, and then I put another mag in it, and I pulled it up, and I'm like, where's the front sight? And it just drifted right out of the slide of the pistol. So that was a little annoying. So I called up Kimber, and Kimber sent me out a new one, and I had it within 3 or 4 days. And I decided, then I had to go to a gun shop, had them drifted in there because I don't have a sight tool. But it's interesting, it's problematic. I haven't had a problematic gun in a long time. Every gun I've bought has been a quality firearm, and I literally have it's been years since I've had to run, failure to feed drills, stovepiping drills, and, racking the slide and playing all sorts of games. But this gun has definitely, brought me back to all that, and, definitely gave me a good refresher course on, clearing malfunctions. I don't want to go ahead and pan this gun. I know 1911s chambered in 10 millimeter can be tough to begin with. I think one of the main reasons, in my opinion, is just from reloading and using a lot of other firearms, is a 10 millimeter cartridge is a straight walled cartridge. It's not tapered at all. So when you're trying to feed a longer straight wall cartridge, when the thing tips up and it's got to, you know, change its angle from the magazine into the barrel, if something's longer, it's going to be harder for that to do, especially in a tight little mechanism like a pistol. Even my 22 mag rifle, it doesn't work as well. It's not as smooth as you know, as like my bigger rifles that shoot a bottleneck cartridge. Like my Winchester is a smoother rifle chambering 30-30 than my Henry is chambering 44 mag, because it's chambering a bottleneck cartridge, because the bottleneck kind of, you know, finds its way in there. It's like 357 SIG. Most of those guns are always reliable and they work great out of the box because it's a bottleneck cartridge. It just feeds, or 9mm. That's why basically all 9mm pistols work great out of the box, is because 9mm is a tapered cartridge. So I know that 10mm are tough. You know, if you wanted the easy way out without having to deal with something, if you're looking to buy one, I'm going to recommend either the Glock 20 or the Glock 40, both full-size 10mm Glock pistols. You know, for affordability and bang for buck, that's probably the way to go. The other day I was shooting this up in Vermont. My buddy had his Rock Island Armory, which is about a $475, $450 1911 chambered in 10mm. So we were shooting these side by side. He was having the same problem with his too. It's just not reliable. So I gave him one of my Wilson mags. That pretty much straightened out his gun right away. You know, he had a couple bobbles and it was finicky with the ammo that it liked, but it was a lot better with the Wilson mag, but still not 100% reliable. So where this gun sits with me now is I won't take it camping. I don't trust it to protect me. I'm into it cheap. I'm probably just going to still work with it and keep on breaking it. Every time I go to the range, I'll just run a box of ammo through it, and, you know, then bring it home, clean it, and then repeat the process and see how it goes from there. But I have a tough time recommending this exact Kimber to somebody else. I mean, hit or miss sucks, and they called it exactly right at Darkstorm Industries, and I kind of knew that getting into it, that it was an inexpensive 1911 10mm. And then, you know, and eventually I'm going to buy another one. It's going to be a better one though, and I'll probably at least spend $1,000 on it. You know, I'll look at a less, that'll be more. Springfield or the Remington Hunter, something in that nature that's just going to be, you know, a higher quality firearm. You know, just a little more time and money spent into it than this was. But it doesn't mean that this, you know, will be a failure. Maybe I run 200 or 300 more rounds of 10mm through it and the thing's lickety split. It could, and I will definitely do an update on that. But if you're looking, if you have a lot of firearms like myself, I don't rely on this and I don't need to, so I'll just bury it in my safe and it's fine. And I have other guns to do that purpose for me. But if you're going to go ahead and you don't have many firearms and you really want to shoot this, or you're going to depend on this, I wouldn't recommend any lower end 1911 and 10mm. I've never seen one that's really, you know, or any sort of line of them that really work well. So another interesting thing about this is it is a full-length guide rod. Just to disassemble it, I have a full video on disassembling this pistol, but basically all you're going to do is there's a little tool. You're just going to push down that little plunger right there, because as you can see, the guide rod's full length. It comes out of the plunger. So you put a little tool, you push that plunger down, and then you can take your barrel bushing off, twist it, pull it off, and then the whole thing comes apart. And it's pretty straightforward. It's really not any harder than a just a little tougher than a GI model. GI model, you can do it with your fingers. It's a lot easier and there's less spring pressure on it. It seems to me with the plunger, you're not pushing on that sharp little rimmed piece. All right, I'm back to my hand loads. This 1911 definitely did not like the Stellar and Bellet. Also make note, and this isn't going to affect today, but these cheap plastic hand grips I put on here busted off, but we're going to work it today, and it is what it is. I don't have the other grips with me. Cycled good except for that one round, but these are full power loads and it just locked the slide back. So, but the gun's okay, not perfect, but it's okay with the right loads. We'll load up some of that SIG ammunition now and see how that does. All right, so I'm back. I got a full magazine when we got the SIG Sauer 10mm 180 grain full metal jacket in here. So we'll give this stuff a whirl, but this gun seemed to like this before I got the front sight fixed on it. So one bobble. So that kind of seems the MO. It's got one bobble usually per magazine with this ammo, but we got one more to try. So yeah, with that American quality ammunition made in the USA, did not like that either, probably. So folks, I did my 10 criteria right here to rate this thing, and there it is right there. You can pause the video. But I'll go ahead and read them off, and just so you get a feeling of why I gave it each score. So and this is 0 out of 10, and 10 being perfect and 0 being nothing. So I even took reliability off of this, because reliability, this gun would get a 0. It's not even close. Getting there, it's a work in progress. So trigger, I gave it an 8. There's just a little take up on it, but it's a good 1911 trigger. It's difficult to screw up a 1911 trigger. Self-protection, I gave it a 7. 10mm might just be a touch of overkill. It's going to have massive muzzle flash. It's extremely loud. Also, it's recoils. This thing definitely recoils harder than a 45 ACP 1911. And it's tougher to shoot this as consistently as a 45. But this will do the trick. Investment, I'm going to give it a 6. Since it's an all-steel 1911, every steel gun I've ever bought has just stayed the same or gone up in price. And I've seen these 1911s are slowly creeping up in price, so I gave it an investment score of 6. Cool factor, I give it a 6.5. 10mm is definitely hot. It's coming back. People are chambering revolvers in it. There's a lot of hype about 10mm, and there are a lot of good loadings out for 10mm. Versatility, I give it a 3. Realistically, I'd only give it a 1, but I'll give it a 3 because you can shoot 40 caliber out of this. But for 10mm, it's finicky what it likes. This gun, the way it's set it up now, it's basically will run high pressure, full power 10mm. So everything that's around, that's probably 700 pounds of muzzle energy and upwards of that, it's going to run that stuff. Anything that's less than that, it's not going to run it. And 40, it's not going to run anymore. So versatility gets a 3 because it's just going to shoot kind of one style of bullet, and that is it. Go to war, I'm going to give it a 7. It holds 9 rounds. If it were 100% reliable, it's powerful. It'll have good it'll penetrate great. You can shoot 180 grain hard cast full metal jacket bullets in this, and it's you'll have excellent penetration and excellent knockdown power. So it's a good go to war pistol. Bang for the buck, I'll give it a 7. For what I paid for it, $570. I don't know if you can get these for that cheap anymore, but I just looked at them a little while ago, and they're $750. So it's still decent bang for the buck if it were reliable. Shootability, I'll give it a 7, and most 1911s that were in a lesser caliber I would rate higher, but I give it a 7 because it's 10mm. When you start shooting this, from that recoil, from that muzzle flip, you're shooting something something, you know, you're shooting something that's a handful. It's not uncomfortable, it doesn't hurt me, but you can feel that muzzle flip up, and it takes, you know, longer. I can't get as quick as a consecutive shot on target as I can with a 45. Firepower, capacity, I give it a 6. It holds 9 rounds. It's powerful. It's a 10 millimeter. You can beat it. You can get a Glock 20 that holds 15 rounds, or Glock 40 that holds 15, and that smokes it. You know, you can also get an 8-shot 357 Magnum revolver, and that'll, you know, you're on par with this, 1 shot less. Concealability, I give it a 4. It's a full-size 1911. It's got sharp edges. It's not made to carry. Can you carry it? Have I carried it? Yes. Inside the waistband holders, inside the waistband holsters, this is not fun to carry. The way I carry full-size 1911s myself is with an outside the waistband holster, and I just wear a big baggy sweatshirt over it to conceal it. So folks, that's my review on this pistol right here, and you know, give me your feedback. You know, I had some excellent comments in the past, you know, with this problematic 1911. And I don't want to pan it. I still believe in Kimber as a gun company. I'd buy another one. I'd probably stick with their higher end models than a budget 1911. But you know, should I send it back? Should I keep it and just keep on shooting it? You know, even though 10 millimeter costs a lot of money, and I spend a lot of time reloading 10 millimeter just to break this thing in. Yeah, give me your thoughts. Tell me what you think. But folks, if you like this video, please feel free to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Thanks a lot for watching, folks.